He's already the first Canadian to win a standard season of The Ultimate Fighter, and he may be the first person in general to become a two-time Ultimate Fighter winner. Is this Saturday, yourself against Cody Gibson. So how excited are you for this opportunity? It's finally here. You're in Boston, UFC 292, and you're in the finale.
Yeah, it's of course it's exciting. Like having the opportunity to make history is always exciting, but that's not necessarily the end goal either. I'm really excited to be on a card with the bantamweight title on the line because that's where I've been living and kind of keeping where I've been living at for the past, I don't know, 4 or 5 years is at that title level. That's the end goal. So to be on a card with the best bantamweights in the world just feels at home.
And pretty cool. I don't know if you know this, but Cody Gibson made his debut at UFC 170 against another debuting fighter, Aljamain Sterling. So kind of coming full circle for both of them on Saturday.
Absolutely, it's crazy how life diverges. Aljamain went on to win the bantamweight title and has had a pretty dominant reign so far, and Cody's went the other route. So funny how things work out and how far we come in so little time.
So tell me about how you got on the show, because I think that there's a lack of clarity on exactly how you ended up on this season of Tough.
Yeah, so I would say I was probably at my lowest, at least I don't know, probably at my lowest in general in January. At that point, I was on a full fight win streak. I had captured a major world title. I had defended it, and we were starting to push for the UFC again. It was like, okay, I'm beating the best guys who are unsigned, and I should be in the UFC. I should be in the best organization in the world. And then we were keep on getting told, not at this time, not at this time. And then the opportunity for the Ultimate Fighter came up. Well, fantastic. What a good storyline. Let's go win it for the second time. It's the rumors were the veterans versus prospects. So I'll be a vet and go in there. And we got told no. And at that point, I was like, man, is this just not going to happen? Like, is something outside of my control just going to prevent me from being here? And then it was it was 9 days before leaving. John called me in his office one Monday night, and he said, I'm sure you've seen the rumors. Connor's going to be a coach for the season of The Ultimate Fighter. We might put a little push in for you. Would you be interested? And I was like, absolutely, let's do it. But just know that they already said no. I don't know if this is going to help. Fast forward 9 days later, it was a Wednesday morning. I woke up to a text from one of the producers of The Ultimate Fighter, actually two of the producers of The Ultimate Fighter, saying, hey, can you leave tomorrow? And it was absolutely I can. And after that, here we are.
Well, it's great to see you get back there. I mean, it seems like all the stars aligned in order to get you back on Tough. But you must have had a real chip on your shoulder, especially when you saw who else they had kind of brought back for The Ultimate Fighter that they would have overlooked you for.
Absolutely. Again, I was on a full fight win streak. I don't know if there was another fighter in the house, not including a veteran, on a full fight win streak. I had captured a major world title and defended that belt. I don't know if anybody else in there had. And I'd say, okay, Timur definitely deserved to be there. He didn't deserve to be released. His contract was up and they just didn't renew it. So he definitely deserved to be there. I'd say Cody Gibson deserved to be there. And then, I don't know who else they were going to have besides me. Chris Montino, or, no offense to that guy, but like him over me? Are you crazy? Like what potential is there for him in the UFC? Not attacking Chris by any means. I just mean, like, actually logically and on paper, you look at it. I was on a full fight win streak against some of the best. I had lost to Marab in the UFC. I don't think necessarily Hunter absolutely deserved to be in there, but he had lost one since being released and won one. It was kind of full fight streak. Come on. definitely a chip on my shoulder. And even prior to that, watching the guys getting signed, doing less, at least how I feel, doing less than I was doing. It was tough to watch, and that was why I was at probably my lowest, because it just felt like something was preventing me that I had no control over.
So Chris Moutinho was originally supposed to be on the cast?
He was one of the guys who were down in Vegas. I think it was the four of us who made the show: Chris Moutinho, and I'm forgetting the other guy's name, Anthony Burchak.
Interesting, because Moutinho hadn't won a fight since being in the UFC, like even on the regional scene before they started shooting tough.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what to say to that, man. Like, I like it was tough when I saw the fighters there, and I was like, man, we really had to pull a favor to get me in here instead. And even listen to the interviews, there was guys saying, I wasn't really sure if I wanted to be here, but I'll know right away once I get into the house. I'm like, what do you mean? I've been fighting in enemy territory, taking on the toughest guys I can to get back into, the UFC. And you're not sure if you want to be here, yet you were given the opportunity. Let's just say I had a chip on my shoulder for sure, and I've been leveraging that. It's not something that weighs me down. It's just something of like, okay, you'll see.
Now that the show's finished and we've seen all that we're going to see, I guess, from the show, what was the dynamic like? Because obviously you train with Coach Katona and Owen Roddy in Ireland, and sort of switched teams somewhat in the middle of the season when only one of Conor's fighters had made it to the semifinals. What was it like in the house? Because obviously we saw some hostility with yourself and Cody Gibson on yesterday's episode, but did that carry through the whole house? Were you kind of an outsider for the whole season?
I think I was slightly an outsider, but actually being in the house, I didn't feel like anybody really disliked me besides Cody. He was the only one who seemed to have a problem with everything I did. I ordered too much food, even though I ate it. I ordered, I think I slept with my window open once, and sure enough, it was a cold night, and he got cold and complained. I had brought my own things, and he was upset about that. Like, I brought an extra blanket, so he was complaining I had an extra blanket. I brought a cutting board and a knife, stuff like that. He seemed to have a problem with it. Oh, why don't you share? I was like, well, because I brought this stuff for myself, because all of you are dirty bastards. Like, it's 16 dudes. I want my own stuff. Seemed like everything I did that didn't affect him pissed him off, but everybody else, it was totally fine. In all honesty, switching teams went fairly smooth. Went up to Chandler and the coaches and said, hey, I'm going to switch on teams now because, I'm fighting Timmer, who's on Team Chandler as well. And why wouldn't I go with my coach? It's going to be a very tough fight. I knew it was going to be a difficult fight. Why don't I go with a coach? My nutritionist, Tristan Kendi, is with Conor's team as well. He has, massage therapists, a chef, great coaching, nutritionist, all these resources that Team Chandler didn't have as well. I helped there. It was really nice to make that switch. And to me, I said in the show, it was like jet fuel right at the end, because it was that last week of filming where you're on your lowest and you have the toughest fight ahead of you. And just to get that energy boost, it was a competitive advantage for sure.
Well, it's great to see that was kind of seamless. And how was the experience for you overall on Tough? Did you come home feeling like you had gained anything from the experience? Obviously, you knew you were going to be in the finals by then.
Man, I was roasted by the end of Tough. I was so exhausted and burnt out. It was a very difficult process. I'd say one of the major factors was having 9 days notice compared to everyone else probably having 6 to more weeks of notice. So really, we did a massive weight cut down just to get on weight, because I was originally told no, and it wasn't looking like I was going to compete until June. So it wasn't going to be right in bantamweight strength range, So that was a major drive to get the weight down in those 9 days and then keep it there for the full weeks, on top of the stress of being in the house, the 2 fights, the making weight twice. It was just it's a meat grinder. I knew I was always going to excel in the Ultimate Fighter house. I knew it going in the first time in Tough 27 that I could handle the stresses of that well. And I think after doing 2 seasons now, making it to the finale, I think I have a stamp on that saying, no, I can handle the tough road.
So why do you feel like you still have a chip on your shoulder going into this weekend?
It just serves me well, I think. And nothing's guaranteed unless you win, right? So I'm just carrying that chip on my shoulder slightly. Now, with that said, I'm appreciating everything that I get. That I'm getting. The media, the UFC PI meals, the physio treatment. I'm soaking it all. So I'm enjoying it all, but I am carrying still that little bit of a chip on my shoulder come fight night going, no, I'll show you. I'm going to make this happen.
And final question for you. Michael Chandler has said that he's going to be in attendance for the event. Is Conor McGregor going to be there? You would probably have more knowledge of this than anybody else that I'll speak to until the time of the event.
I've heard that there's a very good chance of him showing up, but it is Conor, and it's not like him and I are on texting. It's not like he's inviting me over for a barbecue. So I absolutely guarantee he's going to be there, but it seems like he really wants this fight. You heard him talking about getting 3 fights in, Chandler in December, and then potentially Gaethje and maybe a lightweight title after that. So we'll see. But from what I know, he is going to be in attendance. So that would be that'd kick off the card quite well.
Well, you might not be texting with him, but I have a feeling Coach Katona would have some sort of knowledge of that information.
Yes. Last I heard, he was probably going to be in attendance, but again, things change.
All right, Brad. Well, it's a pleasure speaking with you. Hopefully, we get to see you become a 2-time Ultimate Fighter winner, 2 different divisions, only Canadian to do it on a standard season, possibly 2 standard seasons now this weekend, so making history. Appreciate your time. Thanks for doing this, and best of luck on Saturday against Cody Gibson.
Thank you very much. I'm hoping to become the ultimate fighter, as I like to call it.